Powered by MPB, this is Chalkboard Chat, an MPB education podcast, hosted by Jermaine Flood and Tara Wren. To hear this episode and more, visit education.mpbonline.org or download the MPB Public Media app to listen on your iPhone or Android device.
Hi, I'm Cellie Scoggin with Kids First Education, and this is your Chalkboard Chat Slate Sessions. I am co-founder and vice president of educational services for Kids First Education. Kids First Education serves districts, schools, teachers, and students across Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and Tennessee. At Kids First, we work together through our C3 success model. We first collaborate as a learning community. Then we create solutions that impact teaching and learning. And last, we commit to seeing those customized plans through while making necessary adjustments based on all available data. Let's chat about some ways that parents and communities can support teaching and learning when there is an interruption in teaching and learning in our schools. We know this very well. When communities are faced with emergency situations that interrupt teaching and learning, we have to come together to find solutions. This leads to online learning, or what some call e-learning. This allows the students to remain engaged even when students are quarantined or they choose to learn from home. Beyond providing a solution to ensure that students keep up with the curriculum and implement the e-learning, we can also provide critical structure in a student's days at home and maintain that sense, or at least some sense, of normalcy. Successful virtual learning days, especially when they need to be implemented for any kind of extended period, requires all parties, educators, students, families, and community members to adjust to new routines. Parents and other caregivers can offer some of the most important guidance to students to find the right online learning approaches, remain accountable for their work, and get extra help when they're needed. Do you have students learning at home? If so, I would like to share 5 tips for not only parents but also community members to help children when learning from home. First, there needs to be a schedule. Someone needs to build that schedule and customize that schedule for that child. Second, we must model hard work and be persistent. Without being persistent, many times we will give up with at-home e-learning. Third, we should set up a designated workspace, not only for the child, but also for those that are supporting the child at home. Fourth, we should get to know the online learning platform and reach out to our teachers and to our school districts to ensure that we have that information. And fifth, we need to stay in communication with your students' teachers at all times. So let's talk about building a schedule. You know, traditional school days really provide a lot of structure for students, and this is hard to replicate on online e-learning days. For some students, this flexibility of learning online is a natural fit. However, for some and others, managing this is a challenge. Students participating in e-learning need to build their own routines and manage their time in order to stay on track. So having a well thought out, specific daily schedule is a key. Parents and community members can be a huge part of this to help plan out and to ensure that we have built a schedule that is customized for the needs of the child. So now let's talk about parental engagement versus parental involvement. Now just think about that a moment. When parents are engaged in their children's school's lives, students have that home support and knowledge that they need not only to finish their assignments, but also to develop a lifelong love of learning. Parent engagement is parents and teachers sharing a responsibility to help their children learn and meet educational goals. Parent engagement happens when teachers involve parents in school meetings, events, and then parents volunteer their support at home and at school. In this way, they make that commitment. Parents commit to prioritizing their child's educational goals, and then teachers commit to listening and providing a space for collaboration with parents. Now, let's not be mistaken. Parental engagement in schools is much different from parental involvement, though both are useful. Let's think about parental involvement. It's when parents actually participate in school events or activities, and teachers provide learning resources or information about their students' grades. This is perhaps the greatest experience for us at Kids First Education, when we see parents come together with teachers to engage around those critical needs for our students. Unlike parental engagement, teachers hold the primary responsibility to set the goals. They relate to the parents not as a partner, but also as an advisor who guides them through that academic support for their child. It helps to think of parental involvement just as the first step to parental engagement. While teachers can advise parents on some things, parents also have that important information about their child that teachers might need to know. Both bring perspectives to the table that enrich a student's learning experience. Just think about it. Neither is complete without the other. So when we're talking about parental engagement, let's talk about the things that really are impacted by this. So children with those engaged parents are more likely to earn higher grades or test scores. They're more likely to graduate from high school and attend post-secondary education. They're more likely to develop self-confidence and motivation in the classroom, and boy, does this help in teaching and learning. And they're more likely to have better social skills and classroom behavior. Children with engaged parents are less likely to have low self-esteem, need redirection in the classroom, or develop behavioral issues. Next, let's talk about modeling hard work and persistence. Let's face it, it is hard work to involve parents, community members, and children in e-learning at home, and it requires persistence. So just like those time management skills, this motivation comes naturally for some students and not so natural for others. Regardless, acclimating to this online learning platform, getting accustomed to self-pacing, and working through the normal productive struggles of learning more independently can be challenging. Parents and other caregivers can make a huge difference simply by just demonstrating the importance of these skills in the real world beyond school. Talking to your child about your own work and goals is a great place to start. Tell him or her about the difficult projects that you're working on. Maybe some of the new skills that you're trying to master or the challenges that you face. For instance, do you have a big presentation coming up in work? Well, tell your child about the extra time that you're having to put in to prepare. Make it relative for them. These don't have to be big talks or perfect examples, but just demonstrating your own hard work and persistence and a motivated attitude while learning online. Then setting up that designated workspace. This is rather simple, but this right workspace makes a huge difference in a student's mindset and their ability to focus. Students have the ability to complete their own work where they want, so it's important to put thought into what kind of environment is truly most effective for them and make sure that they have that designated space at home. Think about your child's personality and the needs that she or he has to create that workspace that's tailored for them. And be sure to have that direct conversation with your child about where or how he or she will be most comfortable completing the online coursework. If your child thrives in the quietness, make sure that he or she has a desk that's comfortable and a chair in the room. If he or she needs a little bit more interaction and a hands-on accountability, a desk or a table in the living room or the kitchen may be a better option. Be sure that it meets the needs of your child and can be easily accessible to the materials and supplies that he or she will need to be efficient, like headphones, a wireless mouse, plenty of notebook paper, pens, etc. Then the next one is probably the one that we struggle with the most. Get to know the online learning platform. There are many resources and tools that are offered through your local school district. Just reach out. This means that students will spend their days immersed in an online program, and sometimes several days that leads into weeks. For parents, taking that time to get familiar with those platforms and what they look like, how your child is using them, and what resources are available is some of the best support that you can offer. Just start by exploring any kind of orientation resources that are provided by your school or district. Make sure that your child is comfortable navigating the content and activities, completing those basic tasks like submitting assignments and checking grades. Those communication tools that are available through your online learning platform, like built-in messaging features, video conferencing tools, and interactive classroom functionality. Many of these online learning platforms offer parent portals. Be sure to find those and explore those to ensure that you can monitor your child's progress. And last but not least, and probably most important, stay in communication with your students' teachers. Just because your students are learning online doesn't mean that they are learning independently. Teachers still play an absolute critical role in e-learning, and maintaining that open, frequent communication is key to a student's success. Parents and other caregivers need to take part in this ongoing dialogue to make sure that students stay on pace and get the appropriate help when it's needed. I hope you've enjoyed this Chalkboard Chat Slate session. Please feel free to visit kidsfirst.llc to find resources for not only teachers, parents, but also students and communities. I'm signing off, Cellie Scoggin with Kids First Education, and this has been your Chalkboard Chat Slate session.
You've been listening to Chalkboard Chat, an MPB education podcast. To hear this episode and more, visit education.mpbonline.org or download the MPB Public Media app to listen on your iPhone or Android device. This podcast is hosted with love by ACAST.